Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jason Lewis, the producer of the From the Shadows podcast, and I would like to welcome you back to this week's episode of the podcast, where we will continue with the interview of WilliamGKrejci, already in progress. So with no more delay, grab a cold beverage and a snack while we steer you back into this amazing interview. Enjoy.
100 years ago, the story of the haunting, they didn't make it public back then because they knew what happened when stories like that went public. You would be in the paper, and if they would mention what house it was, then you would have everybody coming to the door, ringing on the bell, knocking, asking a million questions. You can't go to the market without people giving you funny looks. Now, today, it's 100 years later, so it's a little bit different. But you got the daylight ripped out of you. I mean, we still get people, ringing the bell. Oh, by the way, all your listeners, please don't come up and ring the doorbell. Okay, that just pisses us off. I had a group of kids do that tonight. I say kids, oh my God, they're probably in their 20s, and they're ringing the bell, ringing it, and I'm like, I finally come downstairs. I'm like, what? Like, is this Franklin Castle? And I'm like, dude, it says it in the fucking window. I'm sorry, it says it in the bleeding window right there. I'm sorry, you probably get kids. I don't know if you get kids listening or not. I don't know.
That's okay. Kids these days know all the words.
Okay,
oh yeah.
I keep my nieces and nephews in the back of my head. I'm like, oh wait, they might listen to this. So they're ringing the bell. I'm like, yeah, it says Franklin Castle in the window. They're like, so can we come in and get a tour? I'm like, dude, it's a private residence. I'm like, no, we like, oh, I'm like, yeah, when's they knock on the door of the house across the street? Ask them for a tour at 10:30 at night.
That's great.
Or I'm like, or St. Herman's, or I'm like, and they're like, is it really haunted? And I'm like, piss off. It's fine. I was in the middle. I was watching Stranger Things. Yeah, I'm like the last person on earth that hasn't seen it. So I'm like, oh, all right. I'm just killing time until you called. So folks, please don't ring the doorbell. If we're out there and you happen to see us and we're not in a hurry, sure, we're more than happy to answer your questions. But don't ring the doorbell at 10:30 at night.
So for our listeners that don't really know, you actually live in part of the castle. Right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'm not the only one, though, of course. But I do. Yeah. In fact, I'm there right now, and it's interesting because while we were on the phone about 15 minutes ago, I heard a gunshot outside. We're at firework and other police activity. They're standing on the road with flashlights, looking all over the place. So, it might have been a firework. I don't know. So I spend the next few minutes sitting on the floor. I've never been shot at. And no, it's not a bad neighborhood. It's actually a pretty nice neighborhood. So I think it was probably someone's blowing off a firework out there.
No, it wasn't you taking a shot at those kids, was it?
Hey, it was. Yeah. Somebody posted a picture or like a whole story on some website or something, and it got shared to Facebook about like the Franklin Castle, it's abandoned. Would you go inside and would you spend the night? Would you break in? And everyone's like, oh, I'll break into that and break into that. Finally, I sent a thing. I'm like, don't break in. I'm like, it's not abandoned. People live here. When we're not here, we've got a security system. Guess what? It's armed. And when we are here, we're armed. Don't come in. Yeah, they would have probably got bars over the windows on the first floor anyway. So it's like, don't try and get in either. Because you could get shot. So, yeah.
So let's just ask you then, since you've written about the book, you've written about some the place being haunted. Since you live there, fill us in. Give us an insider's view of what it's like to live in the castle and what, if anything, actually does happen there.
Okay. What's it like to live here? It's cool as all hell. It's really, I'm not going to lie to you, it's pretty damn cool. I wanted to live here since I was a little kid, so this is like a dream come true. When I was invited to take up residency as a historian, it's like my jaw just about hit the ground like it did when I was 5 years old. I'm like, wow, that's like a dream come true. It's just something I've always wanted to do. No, it's really cool. So you're asking as far as paranormal activity goes. Yes, I have seen and heard a lot of things in this house. Not the only one, though. And you know what's interesting? It falls well in line with what a lot of other people have previously reported as being here. Something I don't like to use the word disturbance. I like to use the word event. It's a good one, or just general activity. Because disturbance might signify that I'm actually disturbed by it, but I'm very rarely is that the case. I've had every manner of event, from lights, not just flickering, like I had a lamp over here by my desk, and that did flicker a few times earlier tonight, a little after 8 o'clock, and then about a half an hour later. But I've had like a chandelier in my kitchen one time. All the lights strobed. There are 7 bulbs because one of the fixtures isn't working, and all of them strobed for about 4 or 5 seconds. Also, down by the bottom of the stairs by the side door, there's a light fixture there, and it's a new one, and that has also strobed on 2 separate occasions, about a year apart from between events. One of them, though, was there was one group of people that we don't do this. It's not a regular thing. It's not open for tours. It's not open for public paranormal investigations. We did have a private group come in, though, to do a investigation. And I was coming down the stairs, and I thought that it was some piece of equipment that they had, and because I just saw the lights just strobe down there, and they're like, "No, that's your light." And I'm like, "What?" And it was a light right over the side door, strobed, and then it wouldn't work for the rest of the night. And I turned off the switch when they quote unquote wanted to have the lights out and go dark or whatever they say. And then when I turned it on, it came back on, no problem. We still changed up the fixture, and a year later, it did it again with a different fixture there. So I've had doors open and slam, which is unique. Heard whistling from the room below my living room. I've heard talking coming from different parts of the house. Most recently, right next to my head when I had kind of dozed off on the couch. And I've had, let me think. Someone running up and down the stairs. That was a little less than a year ago. They ran up the stairs, woke me up, and I'm sitting there and I'm like awake, and then I hear running back because I thought it was the carpenters. There's an Amish team of carpenters that come over and work on the house, father and son, and I thought that his son was running up the stairs, and I was a little miffed, and like, oh, he knows I'm sleeping. What is he doing? And then I hear boom, 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 running back down, but it's like a little kid giggling. And by this point, I'm up for a couple of minutes. I'm like, oh, what is it? Bring your family to work day? So I go to ask Mr. Detweiler. I was going to say, hey, can you ask the kids just to keep it down? I'm still sleeping. And I get out into the hallway, and the light comes on because it's on a motion sensor. It turns on, and I kind of like look around, and I look down the stairwell, and the rest of the house is dark. I'd stick my head back in my living room, turn on my lights, and my clock above my TV. It's a little mantle clock up there. It's about 20 after 4 in the morning, and I'm like, these guys aren't here for another 3 hours. I'm the only person in the house. So I turned on the TV and was awake for about another hour till I could start getting drowsy again. So I did have a couple of events where things have been thrown around downstairs on the first lowest level. A couple of things did get tossed around one night. That was a little unsettling. And about a year later, there was a big lag screw thrown down the stairs. Again, being the only one here at the time, those are the only times I've actually had anything kind of unsettling happen. But otherwise, when something does happen, like hearing something or someone walking across the floor upstairs, and you're the only one here, and you check it out and there's nobody else here, it's not like go hide your head under your blankets and anything like that. That's not going to probably help you anyway. It's more like I just kind of like look at it like when the door slams downstairs and I go and check and there's no one here and I'm the only one and there's nothing open, there's no windows and obvious. It's like, oh, cool. All right. I started keeping a journal unexplained activity in the house, inexplicable events. It's if you've ever seen the movie Beetlejuice, you'll remember the Handbook for the Recently Deceased. They started printing it again as a paperback as
you mean the
as a notebook.
Isn't it the recently diseased?
Diseased.
Yeah, that's it.
Deceased. Yeah, they re-released it a few years ago as a paperback book, and it's just a notebook. So I've been using it, ironically, as a journal of inexplicable events that I've witnessed in the house. I just started keeping it last year. Now, there are some parts where you get where you got stuff happening every few days, and I don't put everything in there. Like like a couple times I'll turn on the TV and I'll sit down, and a few minutes later my TV turns itself off. And it's like, come on, I'm watching that. I turn it back on, and then it's fine. Sometimes they'll do it about 3-4 times in a row. I thought maybe the TV's a little funky or something, but it just does it every now and again. I like to turn the TV off. Just after a few minutes or about an hour into me watching TV. So sometimes I write that, but I don't write everything down. But having lived here for this being my fourth winter, witnessed everything from, huge footsteps upstairs to, things getting tossed around to, little things like lights flickering or turning on and off on their own, like the ones that are on motion sensors, or a door slamming or somebody talking. But it can happen as frequently as every 5 minutes, or as infrequently as every 3 to 4 weeks. So there's no set schedule of when it happens. If anyone wants to come over and they're hoping to like my friends will come over and we'll have a few drinks or something, and they're hoping to have something happen to them. I'm like, guys, this isn't Beetlejuice where they're going to do parlor tricks and make you start singing Harry Belafonte. You're not going to have you're probably not going to have something happen. Now I do have a few friends that did have something happen. My buddy Sean Koltiska had. Quite a few things happen, but he spent a lot of time here, more than most people. So he's crashed over when he's been too drunk to drive back to Avon, and just, hey, leave your truck, man, at the bar. Just hop in, spend the night out, and get you back to your truck in the morning. So he's crashed over here, a little bit more often than most of my friends. And my buddy CJ, she's crashed over. Interestingly, she woke up screaming one night in the middle of the night. That scared the living daylights out of me. She still doesn't talk about that. So I don't know. They like to call the Franklin Castle the most haunted house in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And when it even appears as it even says that on the back of the book that John and I wrote. It even says, the most haunted house in Ohio. That's because I didn't give it that name. That's just what other people have called it. So they're like, we should put that on there. I'm like, okay, let's put that on there. What scale are they using? I mean, is it like have you ever seen a Dead Poet Society meter versus rhyme? He does a chart on the board. It's like, okay, so if it has a good meter, but not such a very good rhyme, it's down here. So I'm like, okay, so is it like intensity of activity versus frequency of activity? It's over here somewhere. It's way up on the, I don't know what scale they're using to call something the most haunted. I was asked to write an article that was the most haunted places in Ohio, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I can actually do that. I can tell you what the most interesting haunted places in Ohio are, because I don't know what scale you're planning on wanting me to use at least. Mm-hmm. To tell you which one's the most haunted, I don't know.
So do you just think that this is just like the original people that built the house and lived there, just doing stuff in the house, or letting you know what there?
That is one theory. That it might be the original owners, or their relatives or their family. Looking at the house historically, there have been, to the best of my knowledge, 4 people have died in this house. The original owner, Thomas Tiedemann, his wife passed away here in 1895. Interestingly, she died in her bed in what is now my bedroom. So I sleep in that room. And that's the room that, I guess mostly I sleep on the couch. I'm not lying. Actually, I do. I fall asleep on, not because I don't like the room. The room is really nice. It's just my mattress is not the very most comfortable mattress on earth.
Sure. Well, it's not.
I've got a joke about it, but yeah, well, no, it's a different bed. I bought this bed in the antique. It looks old, but I bought it, and it is old. But I bought the bed in an antique store in Kirtland a couple of years ago. I'm one of those guys who, yeah.
Is it Kirtland?
Kirtland,
the site of some crazy stuff too.
Isn't that there was some.
Is it Kirtland where they found the people in the barn? That
was the Dennis Avery. That was unfortunately, that was the Dennis Avery family. There was the Lundgren coat was out there. Obviously, if you don't want to be going through that, there were the Mormons first arrived in Ohio, and they built their first temple in Ohio there before pressing on to ultimately Salt Lake City, Utah. So. The temple still stands, and there's a little burial ground over there, and the little Mormon village is down at the bottom of the hill. So it's nice. I didn't really get a chance to check it out when I was going through the last time, but it looks really cool, and I'd say it's worth checking out. I'd still have every intention of doing so. So there was an antique store out there, so I did pick up this really cool East Lake style bed. So that's one of the deaths. The other three deaths, though, that no one ever really talks about, is 1903, the 13-year-old son of the second owner, Albert Mulhauser. He passed away here in the house. He's only 13, so a little boy died here. And then in the 1940s, a caretaker of the German Singing Society that owned the house, he passed away here. Mr. Enns, and then in the mid-1960s, the last caretaker, Mr. Fichter, passed away here as well. But the hauntings predate a lot of that, so if we go off of the 1915 to 1921 stories, that predates the two caretakers of the club. Now, there was a house here prior to this, though. This is the second house on the site. Where we talk about, when we talk about the daughter of the original owner, as who they believe to be the girl in white who haunts the house, she did not die inside the Franklin Castle. She died in the house that used to stand here. It was a 2-story wooden home that the first owners, who the Tiedemans bought it off of, had called Bachelor's Hall. That was the name of that house. Or they refer to it in the letter as we are now keeping Bachelor's Hall. They probably didn't have a name, that's just what they referred to it as. And that was a general term that was used in the 1850s and 60s as the place where the boys lived. And there were 4 brothers from Canada that built that house. The oldest was in his early 20s. The youngest was about 15. That's an incredible story in itself, and that does appear as a chapter in the book. Because the youngest of the brothers was like the Forrest Gump of Canada. I mean, I'm not even joking. I mean, this guy was friends with Edison and Alexander Graham Bell, and founded 2 colleges, and is the father of modern day meteorology. Lived next door. Oh, he met with Lincoln and helped avert the war with Great Britain and the United States during the Trent Affair. And his roommate was John Wilkes Booth. I'm not making this up. This is
okay.
I am not, guys. I am not making that up.
And you haven't written that.
It's in the book. That's in the book. It's in the book on the castle.
I can't wait to read this book.
What is it? How can that just be a chapter? Shouldn't that be like a whole book?
That's a whole book within itself.
Believe it. It is a book actually by itself called "Four Went to the Civil War," and it's a fictionalized version of it, written by a woman named Lois Starrock. Only she changed the family last name from Wolverton to Harding, but the original family letters appear in there, and I did double check. And according to newspaper articles from when Mr. Wolverton was still alive, these were things that were claimed and then reinforced by other people, so it was true. He really did meet with Lincoln when he was 16 years old. He was sent by all these other Canadians because it looked like the United States and Great Britain were going to go to war. with each other over something called the Trent Affair. If you don't know it, just look it up in your own time. But that would have been war with Canada, which these thousands of Canadians had signed up with the Union Army. That would have been a war with Canada, and that's something they didn't agree to. So they send 15 or 16 years old, Silas Newton Wolverton, he went by Newton, to meet with President Lincoln. Back then, you could just wait in line, and then the president would see you in time if he had time that day. And he did. He had a minute. He said, "Mr. Wolverton, go back to your boys. Tell them as long as Abraham Lincoln is president of the United States will not go to war with Great Britain." And he did. He was true to his word. He stuck to it. So when Lincoln was assassinated, they had sent for Newton Wolverton to meet the U.S. Army at the border to help identify who they thought might be the president's assassin, John Wilkes Booth, because they thought he was headed to Canada. The reason they figured he could identify him is because they were housemates. They lived in the same house in Washington, D.C., while Newton was working at the quartermaster's office. So when he arrived at the border, though, that's when he got the word that Booth was killed already. So he was dead. So he just went home. But the guy, I mean, really, I'm talking, like, this guy's really the Forrest Gump of
crazy.
Canada. And he is just one part of the story of that book. So if you get a chance, the book 4 went to the Civil War by Lois Dark. It's a great book. It really is. It's harder to find now. I think it might be on a print, but hey, you might find a copy online. So, So the book on the castle really does cover everything from the history of the house to all the way to the hauntings, all the way up to its colorful history of the last few owners, to the current owners today. Did you guys see the movie Judy? Has Renee Zellweger playing Judy Garland? Just came out last year. You guys seen that?
No, I didn't get a chance to see that.
Okay, she wins Best Actress for that at the Academy Awards. So it's a great movie, but it's about her last year or so and how she's getting performances in London. And one of the people that she meets in the story is who would become her last husband, the man who would ultimately find her a few months later deceased in the bathroom, and that's a man named Mickey Deans. And he's well represented in the story as a main character, obviously, because he becomes her husband. His real name was Michael Davinko, and believe it or not, he also owned the Franklin Castle. From about 1985 until 1999, Michael Davinko, a.k.a. Mickey Deans, who is a character, he's a real person, obviously. He was Judy Garland's last husband, but he's also appears well represented as the character in that movie, Judy. He owned the house for the better part of 14 years. If you look really closely on one of the 2 door knockers on the front door of the castle, it's very well faded, but you can still see etched in the brass door knocker, it says Davinko on it. So,
Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible.
A little further history there. So, so there are all these stories are in the book. So, and of course, all the ghost stories. We're not going to write a book about the Franklin Castle and not put ghost stories in there. So some people are like, oh, well, you debunked all the great ghost stories about it. And I keep thinking, I think that the real stuff is a lot better, I mean, there are stories of vaporous mists that appear in parts of the house, a girl in white, a woman in black, having been seen. There was a story in the early 1980s where some girl visited the house with her family, and they had to bring her back here with some priest or something because she had said she'd seen an old woman walk into her while she was here. So a lot of people, and you get the most ridiculous messages sometimes. If I didn't have to do book signings and I didn't do to promote my own, my books, my work, and give lectures and talks, which I hope are going to be regarded as something serious. It's like, hey, I'm giving a talk on the history of this place or that place, and then you get these people that are like, well, I know the house is possessed by demons, and my mother lived 3 blocks away, and she used to look up in the window, and she saw a skeleton walking back and forth, and I know there's something evil there. It's like, oh, for God's sake, come on. I have to put my contact information online on my website so that people can contact me for bookings.
Right.
Not so that you can send me messages or phone calls in the middle of the night to tell me your ghost. I'm sorry. I really love to hear. Sometimes I'm really down for hearing your ghost story, especially if it has something relevant to what I've been researching or a place I've written about. Hey, that's really cool. Don't corner me at a bar and tell me that I should write a book about your house over on West 78th Street where you saw your grandma's ghost standing at the foot of your bed 2 days after she died. I'm intrigued. That's cool. It's not quite a book. I don't know if there's a big audience for that. Because I'm like, well, what else happened there? Oh, well, that's it. You should write a book about it. No, I don't think I should. So it's, I do like hearing your occasional ghost story, but especially I'm there and I'm flirting it up with some girl or something. Yeah, I'm not really the man, It's great. But yeah, but then you get messages and phone calls in the middle of the night, and it's like, they're like, oh yeah, I should tell you about this place, or you should check. And it's like, oh, that's cool. All right, that's great. But yeah, most recently was Ghost Adventures.
The TV show, the TV
series.
Right.
Now I had in all honesty, I'd never seen the show. I really hadn't. I'd heard pretty cool things about it. Some of my cousins said, my wife watches it. And they're like, oh, my friends watch it. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's cool. It's a reputable show, I guess. And as you know, they did an episode here at the Castle recently. And I got to say, for my own part, I wasn't exactly thrilled with the way that it was edited, or a couple of things that they included. There is one part of that. Now, I wasn't here when they did the investigation, so I can't speak to anything that they saw or recorded or anything like that. I was just here for an interview part, and spent the night on my cousin and I went back to the island. And I've since it aired, I've heard this from a lot of other people that, well, it's the nature of the beast, as they like to edit things around. Usually for content, that makes perfect sense. You can't give a 45-minute interview and then expect it to, appear in its entirety, obviously, in a 1-hour program. But to twist it around a little bit to suit a narrative is a little
shady.
It's a little lowbrow. Yeah, it's shady, I'd say. Yeah, at best. So I didn't. Okay, a few things that if you've seen the episode, a few things that I would never say is there's a part where we're talking about where there's a quote-unquote curse on the Tiedemann family, and then I say that the curse on the Tiedemann family is, I didn't actually say that because there is no curse on the Tiedemann family, but what I did say was that stuff about the lady who created the story back in 1980, there was someone here who claimed that the ghost of Thomas Tiedemann was visiting her and telling her this and telling her that. Okay, she also claimed that she was a girl on the Sunbeam bread packages, okay, which you do a little research, you find out that, she's a woman of Sunbeam. You find out that that's the owner of the company's daughter, okay, so she claimed that as well. So when they asked, like, well, how did she know? And in the show I say, well, she's a medium. I would never say that, ever, because that's a little too definite, and I'm not that definite to say that someone's a medium. What I had actually said was she claimed that she was a medium, so they cut out the part about me saying she claimed that got cut. There is the one part that, okay, that's small. That I don't really give a damn about that sort of thing, though. That's small editing. What I was upset about was, and you'll recall, there's a part of that interview where they bring up a suicide. You don't really report on something like that unless it's absolutely, relevant to the story. Now, I do talk about it in the book on the Franklin Castle. The grandson, who, interestingly, in the TV series, they make out to be Ghost Adventures. They made out to be the son of the guy who built the house. It wasn't. It was the grandson, someone who never lived in this house, someone who took his life more than 30 years after the family moved out of this house. So this is someone that really has nothing to do with the story. The reason I put this person and this event into the book is because it's relevant later on, because John and I, while doing the research, we tracked down his son, who was very forthcoming with a lot of family information, was really happy that we were able to share his story with him. But also because a lot of people, while doing the research on the Franklin Castle, one of the first places they go to is Riverside Cemetery, where the Tiedemann family who built the house is buried. And they see Mr. and Mrs. Tiedemann, their children, and then they see two grandsons buried there also, who died within about 5 years of each other. And they were quite young. They were only in their 30s and 40s when they died. So a lot of people have questions about that. So we saw it relevant to put it in there, and so did. And the person I'm talking about, his name was Carl Tiedemann Sr. So his son saw it relevant as well and said, yeah, that's relevant, put it in. What they did was, on the show, I started getting asked about this curse on the house, and I said, well, there is no curse on the house. I don't know where you're getting that. And they're like, well, don't people just buy it and leave? And I'm like, well, not everybody. I mean, there was a German singing society that had the house for 45 years. Mr. DeVinco had the house for about 14 or 15 years, because he was implying that the current owners would probably just leave in a few. And I'm like, well, they've had it for 9, which is a pretty good record also. And then he's like, well, what about the curse on the Tiedemann family? I said, there is no curse on the Tiedemann family. And I think that's what got edited to make it sound like the curse on the Tiedemann family part. So he's like, well, aren't they all dead? I said, well, yeah, they lived well over 100 years ago, so yes, they are all dead. And then said, well, no, didn't they all die? And I said, well, yeah, there is the fact that when Mr. Tiedemann passed away, there were about 4 or 5 family deaths within the next couple of months. It's just a run of bad luck. He's like, well, didn't one of them jump off a bridge and commit suicide? And I laid it out very plainly. I said, that was Mr. Tiedemann's grandson. That happened. The man that this happened to, he did not live in this house. That happened over 30 years after the family left. And I'm friends with his son, or I was. His son died, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. He was about a month shy of his 90th birthday when he died. I said, please do not sensationalize upon a family tragedy like that. He was like, well, yeah, but he jumped off a bridge. I'm like, okay, I'll give you this also. You'll see this in the book as well. A couple days after the initial report was published in the Plain Dealer and the Cleveland Press, one of Carl Tiedemann's business associates, a man named Bruno Ewell, came forward and said that he believed that it was an accident and that it was not a suicide, that it was an accidental fall. He said that Mr. Tiedemann, while he had been kind of going through some stuff, not bad, but he was a little bit of a nervous wreck lately. That's because of some weird investment, which somebody else wrote a book about, with a man named Esmus Boysen, who he invested in the power company, which had failed, but he was still pretty well to do. And it was right after the stock market crash, that's true. But and this company was being reorganized, but he was still going to be the president of the new company, and he was not losing any money or anything anytime fast. He suggested that the man had just been involved in an automobile accident. He had talked to the guy he'd run into, gave his card, said, see me in my office, I'll take care of everything, don't worry about it. Walked over to his car, put his hat down on his car, and leaned over on the railing. They looked over, and the man was gone. And that's when they found him down below. He thinks that he was disoriented from the car accident and that he fell over the railing. He suggested that. So that got all caught up into what sounded like me saying that I believed that that's what happened. And that's not. If you were to look at the entire unedited interview, you would see me actually saying that it came from a newspaper article and that it was his friend Bruno Ewell who had suggested this. So then on the show, they suggest that maybe there is something inside this house that is using me to tell its story.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So they put that on the show. So that weekend, I cannot tell you how many messages, how many phone calls and messages on my phone I got from people asking if I were possessed by something in the house and that I should see a priest. People saying there is something evil here and it's got its hold on me, and you should really go. You should go to church and you should pray. You got to say the Hail Mary 3 times and the Our Father 3 times, and the Glory Be. And you got to do this and you got to do that. And everybody, oh my goodness, breathing down my neck, throwing this at me. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I had seen the episode not when it aired, but I saw it the following night, and I did see the preview, and it really started hitting the fan there. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now, there are some things that you can do, but I don't think you can legally insinuate that somebody is possessed.
No, I don't think you can legally do that.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that, because now it's not hitting my financial interests. I'm not losing book signings because of that. I'm losing book signings right now because I'm not, we can't go anywhere. We can't have mass gatherings for the time being. Which is understandable. But
hey, although you might be able to play it up and say, "Hey, look, I'm possessed. Have me, have a real life possessed." That could be your
Have me come and talk to your group. Let me talk to your historical society, because I'm possessed by some. Oh, for crying out loud! Yeah, you can't. So I'm not exactly happy about that, but what I'm really most upset about is that they really sensationalized on my friend's dad's death back in 1929. And they changed it around, and they did this to suit their narrative of a quote-unquote curse on the Tiedemann family. I did some double-checking and triple-checking just after this aired, just to make sure. And no book, magazine, blog, newspaper article, or anywhere else on the internet does it say anything, does it ever use the word curse anywhere. He created it. So, yeah, what I really have to say about the house is this: it's a beautiful home. Oh, so rich in history. It's been through so many things, so many changes over the years. It's been used for this, used for that. It's more than your simple quote-unquote haunted house. In 2011, the current owners, O'Dare Productions, they purchased the house, and really it was not looking good at that time for the house. It was condemned, and who knows how much longer it was going to be able to sit here without facing a wrecking ball. They saved it. So it took a couple of years. They got their permits. They went through. They got a new architect on the project and everything, and they really started working on this house. The construction company that they hired started doing some amazing works in this house. They've got great ideas for the restoration, and it's nearing completion from what I'm able to see every day that they're working, and they really did. They saved it. They saved a great Cleveland landmark from the wrecking ball, and my kudos go to them, not just because they're my landlords, but because I see the work that they do in here, and it's fantastic. Within the last year and a half, they took over curation of the Norton Records collection, so they've gotten very involved with them as well. So, it's just they're trying to play up a little bit more than the ghost stories and a little bit more than the haunted house. It's an old historic home. The architects were Frank Cadell and John Richardson, who were more noted for churches, and some of their churches are still standing. And I think this might be the only private residence that they built that might still be standing. I'm not sure. I have to double check that, but it may very well be. These were very prolific 19th century architects.
Mm.
And just maybe the spirit or spirits that are so active are just showing their appreciation for somebody coming in and saving the place and keeping their home.
Yeah, I like to think that. I like to think that they like the way it looks. I mean, it's not It's not everything isn't historically accurate. It's not all bad because I mean, in 1921 there were like walls knocked out, and this was changed, and that was changed, and there are things that you just really can't practically put back. Like the dumbwaiter is gone. Like the city won't let them put a dumbwaiter back in because when the house was hit by arsonist in 1999, that fire traveled right up that dumbwaiter shaft and burned out every floor. So you can't have that. Yeah, so that's gone. Between the top floor and the floor below it, where the stairwell is, there's a fire break now. It used to go all the way to the fourth floor, but now there's a ceiling and a wall in the stairwell and a door to get to the top floor. City made them do that because that's to prevent fire. It's to keep it contained from floor to floor instead of burning straight all the way up and completely destroying the top floor and then burning the roof out. And you got a house that's got no roof on it like it did in 1999. That was, I think the insurance covered putting the new roof on. So, they were able to put a few of the original architectural features back. I mean, how the house got hit by a tornado in 1953 did significant damage. So, and when they redid the roof in 2000, they put a lot of that back. So,
truly is a blessing that the thing's still standing. Then, I mean,
it is. I mean, you look at some places that they've had a fire and it's like, oh, done, you tear it down, or hit by a tornado, yeah, it's gone, or it was treated like hell and boarded up for a number of years. They would just come in and knock it down. But Cleveland loves this house. I mean, they really do, and so do the owners, and so do I, obviously.
Well, it's definitely a fascinating looking place, that's for sure.
It really is. Yeah.
Well, William, Bill,
yep.
It's been a great time here listening to the history of the house and hearing about your books and stuff. And I want to give you a chance to let everybody know where they can, number one, find all your books. Number two,
okay.
Not check you out. So whatever other things you've got going on, where they could see you, where they come visit you in Put-in Bay and stuff like that. And
yeah,
tell them
absolutely.
and remind them not to call you up then in the middle of the night.
Yeah, don't call me in the middle of the night. Well, let's see. You can find my books in all major bookstores in the area. You can find it, of course, Books A Million and Barnes & Noble, but, of course, a lot of the smaller sellers. And if you can't find them there, you can find them in dumpsters, garage sales, and secondhand stores. Let's see. Where can you find me? You can find me at the bar. Once this is all lifted, there's bar band. McNamara's, McGinty's, or Kearney's usually. Unless it's Put-in Bay, then you're going to find me at Topsy Turvy or Joe's or the Real Bar or even the Red Moon Saloon. No, I'll be, once this is all this craziness is over with and we can go back to a little bit of normality. Let's see. Unfortunately, I think all my book signings have been canceled. I was supposed to appear at a couple events in April, one at the Lima Public Library. I know that's a bit of a haul from Cleveland, but if you guys are out that way, I was going to be out there. But I think that one might be scrubbed for now. And then on April 20th, there was also the Books and Cooks out in Madison, which I haven't received notice yet, but I might be out there as well. Otherwise, if we can leave the house again, and I've never actually been on house arrest, but I imagine this is probably what it's going to feel like. You'll find me at the Put-in Bay. You can, I got my regular job as a ranger at the monument, if we open in time and all that goes. and they do carry the book, Hunt at Put in Bay. They do carry that there, as well as a couple other places. They got it at the Butterfly House and the Country House and the Carriage Houses or other places. But then Victoria and I, if she can come back into the United States in a timely, she's in Russia. She's got dual citizenship. She's originally from Russia. So as she would say, if I can get back into the United States, then maybe I make it there in time. So, but yeah, she gets back. We'll be starting the Ghost Walk the Friday right before Memorial Day weekend at 7:30, and we start at the boardwalk. And we're going to be doing that Friday evenings and Tuesday evenings at 7:30. Right over at the boardwalk in downtown Put-in Bay.
So people just
and
come.
We're going to do that all the way through Labor Day or through the end of September. We'll do it.
So people just show up there at 7:30 and
yeah, show up. We tell people show up between about 7 and 7:20. About 7:15, 7:20 start showing up. It's $15 for adults. Children 12 and under are free, but they need to be accompanied by an adult. We step off, and it's about an hour and a half long, hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. It's gone as late as an hour and a half, so it does. And about 9 o'clock. So it's a family friendly thing too. So you can bring the kids, and it's not going to be too scary because it's usually still about daylight while we're doing it. It's not too gruesome. So the idea is that it's a family friendly thing, but it's very informative and it's fun, and we got a few jokes along the way, so we'll keep you entertained. You'll find us hopefully all summer long doing that, unless this goes on longer than they say it's going to. We'll see what happens. So.
Well, hopefully everybody can get back in the swing of things in the summertime here, if not sooner.
I'm hoping for May. That's they say spring's right around the corner. The crocuses are coming up. Let's just hope that this damn blight upon our land just goes away, and we can all just return to normality and.
Yeah, get this economy started again.
Yeah, I got so many of my friends that are out of work right now, and musicians and bartenders and bar owners, and it's like, it's terrible. Servers, yikes. Well, we'll see what the future holds for us, though.
Well, in the meantime, let's support local businessmen such as yourself, and let's go buy some books by William Krejci, and that's Krejci. Okay, that's how it's spelled. So I found all your books on Amazon because I'm too lazy to go look for anywhere else.
You'll find them on Amazon. You know what you can also do is you can go to my website, WilliamGKrejci.com, just like it appears on the books. And there are links on there on the published works page. And that will also take you to, if you want to order from Amazon or whatnot online, that's got every book. So it's got all the ones through History Press, as well as the 3 nonfiction published, or the 3 mystery novels, rather, that I self-published. So those are also on there. I just apologize ahead of time for the typos because I didn't have a very good editor for my first book. But
hey, that's okay.
So,
that's all right. You can
get those there.
But that would be great. I mean, hey, that's one way to support local artists, especially is go buy their stuff. And I mean, what better thing to do while you're stuck in the house than read?
Yeah, if you're doing social distancing, get a book, and then hey, when this is all over and you don't got to worry about getting the Black Plague from me, I'll be more than happy to sign it for you too. Considering I lived through this, let's see. I don't know. I'm some percent. I got early stage emphysema. Let's hope I get through.
So buy books, listen to podcasts. That's what you need to do while you're practicing your social distancing. So
absolutely.
But hey, thanks for joining us tonight, and we're looking forward to checking out the new book coming in. Would you say Memorial Day of 2021?
Memorial Day weekend of 2021. That'll be Lost Put-in Bay. There are going to be so many things in there that you're going to find out about caves on the island that are not open. That there used to be a railroad on that island. On an island, there was a railroad.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating.
I'm excited to
In
check
fact,
that out.
you're even going to find out about 2 lost graveyards, lost and found. There are 2 cemeteries on that island that are also revealed, and of course the ghost story I told you earlier, and history of that island that has been overlooked for the better part of 150 years. Names of people and what happened to them. Oh, it's going to be a great one. So
We're excited. We're excited. So, all right, William. Well, hopefully your roommates there at the Franklin Castle let you get some sleep tonight. And
yeah, I'm probably going to go back to watching Stranger Things or something like that.
Oh yeah.
I rented Pet Cemetery, so maybe I'll watch that. I don't know.
Holy
I rented a
smokes!
few movies just in case I got to hunker down or something for a few days here. So yeah, there is still a video rental place in Cleveland. I know, Family Video. Yeah, who would have thought?
Oh boy!
Yeah, most of those have closed now. Yeah.
I know. I'm so glad this place is still going strong. I love it.
Good.
Well, we have one of those in Bucyrus. I used to manage it way back in the day. So.
Oh geez. Oh, that's great. No, I love it because I don't want to stream everything, and not everything is on Netflix. So it's like,
that's right.
I want to go, rent Harry Potter. I'm gonna go to the video store. I don't want to go buy it.
Absolutely.
Cheaper, ultimately, I don't know.
So,
guys, thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed this. So,
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been a wonderful, wonderful story. This is great.
Yep. So,
thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well,
all right, you guys.
Go ahead.
I was going to say thank you guys again, and I was going to wish you guys a happy and a good evening and a happy and healthy next few, however long this lasts.
Same to you. As the time gets closer for this new book to come out, we'd like to have you on again and kind of let our guests know, let our fans know, say, hey, it's coming.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I'd love that. And I would love to tell you about I'd love to tell you about the book that just came out back in September, Gore Orphanage, stories like that. There are things in there that are so widely overlooked, and maybe I'll even have a few new things for you. A couple projects I'm looking at right now, but one big one in particular, and if that happens, more than happy to come out and tell you about it.
Absolutely.
All right,
outstanding.
Sounds like a deal.
Good. All right, we'll talk soon then, okay?
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.
Take care.
All right, you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. You too. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, a final word. Please visit us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/From the Shadows Podcast, and on our Instagram page at instagram.com/From the Shadows Podcast. You can visit our webpage at FromTheShadowsPodcast.GoDaddySites.com, or contribute to our Facebook discussion page called After the Shadows, and tweet us on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/podcast_from. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.